I'm Heather Price. I'd love to talk to you today about a teaching circle, a shamanic teaching circle that I'm taking out at present, and it's called the Giraffe, which is an acronym, and it stands for the processes that we take ourselves through from first preparing ourselves for our visioning and then stepping into co-creation with a clear vision in mind. So, how did this come about? I think it began with my journey with the giraffe in 2007 when I visited different countries in Africa, and I just fell in love with the giraffe. It was one of those creatures that just kept showing up in the different countries that we traveled to, and some with slightly different patterns for each family of giraffes. And I was fascinated because in the distance you could see the giraffe walking so gracefully across the plain, and the zebras were there amongst the giraffes as well, and the contrast in the black and white and the beautiful colours of the giraffe were so incredible, and it held its place in nature amongst all the other incredibly fascinating animals. I think it had to be my favourite, or one of my favourites for sure. And there was this fabulous giraffe in Kenya that we went to a place where we could see some giraffes that had been taken into captivity. And this one was called Jock, and he had this amazing tongue that he reached out and took some pellets from my hand, and I just felt his power and I felt his magic. And the thing about giraffes, is that they actually do have a choice. They can run very fast, apparently, but they choose not to. They choose to take their life at this beautiful, graceful pace. And they also have that capacity to really stretch themselves. So they stretch high and beyond what seems possible, and to get the very best fruits on top of the tree that are ripened, fully ripened and rich and ready to be consumed. So they have that capacity to also look beyond what other people can see, and to be able to see right out into the distance at the possibilities. And taking this medicine on board of the giraffe, you can actually begin to feel the power of the giraffe within you, the way you walk, the way you hold space. And of course, they also have 4 feet firmly on the earth, and they have a vulnerability, which is also fascinating because it's something that they have to face every day. Because in order to drink, they have to actually move their feet apart and their legs apart, and then be very vulnerable as they go to drink the water. They can't move quickly. So if an animal comes along to prey upon them, they can't move quickly. So they have to face their vulnerability to survive. So when we take the qualities of the giraffe, these are just some, there are others, and embrace those as medicine, they really strengthen us and enable us to not only dream the dreams, but to cross the finish line, to actually get past the dreaming stage to when you do go into co-creation, you go into creating that which you're seeking. And like the giraffe, we can choose to go at that very quickly if we wish, or we can take a steady pace. And with the wisdom of the giraffe, know what our patterns are. The giraffe also has these patterns on the outside. It's like they give you the strength to discover through the process of daily practice who you are, what your vulnerabilities are, and what your strengths are that you've been inheriting all this time from your ancestors, and also discovering yourself and creating on your own journey these amazing patterns. So the actual process reflects the qualities of the giraffe that I've described, and each letter of the giraffe actually holds a process for you to practice. And the most amazing thing about this particular teaching circle and this particular acronym is that these letters that stand for a process, each process stands alone. it actually has power in its own essence, just standing alone. So these are processes that I've used for 20 years now. And some of them, I've used for 20 years. Some of them might have been introduced a little bit later. And they're all well rehearsed, well practiced personally, and with my, by now thousands of people have come to sit with me and work with me in workshops and personally as clients. So I feel very confident in introducing these processes. And when you put them together, you have this incredibly powerful, magical formula of daily practice. If you wish, together, you can put it all together and move forward and cross the finishing line. You can see the vision, but you also have the capacity, and you have discovered your patterns, you have worked out the resistance, you have let out the energy that's holding you back through the process, and then you're able to move forward gracefully. So recently I had to really cross the finishing line of a project that I've had in place for 3 years, and I needed to practice the bee giraffe regularly to enable me to get to that point. And I do practice parts of a bee giraffe every day, and sometimes I put the whole bee giraffe formula together, which is just mind-blowing if you can manage to do that. It depends on your time frame. But I was dedicating each day to the bee giraffe, to the whole of the bee giraffe, to cross the finishing line, to create these lovely cards, which I've created with a friend of mine, Gail Gray, who's the artist and designer. Beautiful artwork here. And these cards have taken us 3 years to put together. We took our time with them. We spent every 3 months, I would go to my friend's place in Byron Shire, and we would do ceremony together, and then we would sit down and create these cards together. She would do the artwork and I would do the writing, and we included ceremony and ritual and purpose, and we practiced bee giraffe together in many ways. And finally, when I did have to get myself moving with them, I was able to call on the strength of the giraffe that got me past that finish line to actually produce them, which I have done, and they're incredible. They're the most beautiful cards. We managed to put them onto recycled paper with our printer in Australia, and there's 4 feathers here that in the design. So I managed to get these done with my friend. We finally got them across the finishing line, but without any real hurry. We had the grace of giraffe. We took our time, and we put so much medicine and energy into these cards that people say the minute they hold them, they really are powerful and they hold a lot of energy. And this is what this formula does for you. It brings you into that place of power. It brings you into the place of the giraffe, of where you hold the medicine and you're able to move forward in your life with much more joy and much more grace than you have been before. So I'll just describe a little bit more about the process. This is the mandala that I drew to support bee giraffe. I wanted to actually dedicate a mandala to the process, and so I put that together mainly for the advertising of bee giraffe. And I've done, I have daily practices of bee giraffe. I'm actually doing a mandala practice here of 222 mandalas, and every now and then I'll bring bee giraffe right in amongst it. But the mandala itself is part of the bee giraffe process. So part of the bee giraffe process at the very end is you need to set some goals to get across the finish line. And these are daily practices. So I put in place a 222 mandala practice. I don't do things lightly. I take a lot of time and I really think about what I'm doing and set pretty hard quests for myself, which I always manage to achieve. But just recently, I've turned to this smaller book, which is actually 50% recycled paper, because I'm really determined to do more of that as much as I can. So I couldn't find an A4 size, so I've taken it down. And it's been wonderful because I've realised that I've probably set the bar a bit high for my students and clients, because you can manage it in something as small as this. So just in one page of writing, and then my practice for the day, my goal for the day was to continue these quests. I've been able to put Bee Giraffe into this whole space here. So the actual process is quite complex. I couldn't possibly tell you here in a few moments. But this is just an example of what you can have as a daily practice of Bee Giraffe. And of course, I've done this many times, and there's other parts of the practice here which include a budget, and you can choose to do that, and that was very useful for me. This is one done by my grandson or a couple. I've got two grandsons who do these mandalas practices with me, and so I'm teaching them as well. So you can actually work with children with this formula, and the mandala doesn't have to be part of the process and the practice, but it is a very powerful process to integrate. So this teaching circle that I have is only about 6 hours or 5 hours. It depends. Sometimes it can even be less. And it's a really worthwhile investment. I really encourage you to look into it, and I look forward to meeting you in person to describe Bee Giraffe to you with more detail. So thank you for tuning in, and please contact me at my website, www.shamanicpathandpractice.com. You can find out more information here with this video as well. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.